Alrighty, our chair, Jeff Carey, is not here today, so I will be the acting chair. And can we have a roll call?
Ariel Starhard.
Here.
Isaiah Johnson.
Present.
Randy Lewis.
Here.
Cindy Sun. Here. And Jeff Carey's excused.
Right, next item is the approval of minutes. Has everyone gotten, for the minutes for May 18th, has everyone gotten a chance to go over those?
Yep.
Anything to say about them?
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. How about I entertain a motion to approve the minutes for May 18th, 2026?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second that.
All right, well, if there's further discussion, let's take a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes for May 18th, 2026 as presented? Aye.
Aye.
All right, no naysayers. Let's see, approval of changes to agenda by commissioners or staff, if any. Are there any changes?
None.
All righty. Conflict of interest inquiry. Does anybody have any conflict of interest with the things that we're going to be going over today?
No.
Nope.
I do not have a conflict of interest. I do just want to make note that I sold the property that is being requested to rezone. So I do know a little bit about the applicant's intents with that property. But I represented the seller and they are the buyer. So again, no conflict of interest, but I do have a previous knowledge of this.
All righty, thank you very much. I do not have a conflict of interest either. Next meeting date, August 31st, 2026. Does anyone know that they'll be gone at that time?
I should be here.
I should be here.
And just note, might be obvious, but it's not the normal, what is it, third Monday?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's, I think, the fifth Monday.
Right.
All righty. And then committee and staff updates.
We did have one applicant for the Planning Advisory Commission. The board is holding off on that for some other issues. But I am going to put in another news release. I guess countywide, we're just redoing a news release. So just another push to, if anybody is willing to serve as we have 2 open positions on the Planning Commission. So if you guys know of anyone and you want to tell your friends and family.
All right. Other business, if any. I don't think so. Now we can move on to item number 2 on the agenda, which is public comment on topics associated with things that aren't on the agenda. All right, I don't think so. All right, now the public hearing for rezone of parcel 12220-50-50-7009 from village commercial to multifamily residential R2 in the Allen UGA. I have a staff presentation.
Okay, as mentioned, this is a rezone in the Allen UGA. It's a parcel 1222050700009. It's approximately 0.3 acres in its village commercial currently, and the request is to the medium density multifamily residential. So location, Allen UGA, right here on the map there, and then close up of where the parcel is. So the applicant provided a complete application to our permit center on June 25th. So we were able to get everything in and sent off and posted and to the neighboring parcels in time for this meeting. They did provide a non-project depot. We submitted that for agency review. The only comment we got, and it wasn't really a comment, it was just they provided guidance on fugitive dust, the ORCA.
What was that?
Fugitive dust. So it's from construction dust, how to handle dust and stuff from construction.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So it's just guidance, like a guidance booklet. So I didn't provide that because I didn't think you guys wanted extra reading, but they provided that to the applicant, so the applicant can do the extra reading. So, but that was the only response we got on there. I think the rezone is pretty straightforward, and it matches the as you can see from the image on the screen there. This is the subject parcel, and the request is to rezone to same zoning that was right above it as well. So we measured this against the 8 rezoning criteria. The 8th, of course, is not applicable. That's for errors in zoning. And staff found that it met all the criteria, that they were all satisfied. And staff is recommending approval of the rezone as requested by the applicant. Like I said, all the properties were notified by mail. The site was posted on July 7th, and it was also noticed in the journal on the 9th and 16th of July. And we didn't receive any comments from the public. I did get one phone call from a neighbor, but she was just interested in what the actual proposal was going to be for the site. And so I responded to that request. So other than that, staff thinks this is pretty straightforward and is recommending approval.
All right, questions for staff from PAC members? Does anybody have any questions?
Is this considered a down zone? You're rezoning it less
I would
restrictive?
consider it down zone. It's not. So right now it allows commercial.
Right.
So with this down zone, there's no commercial allowed.
So, okay.
So if it's a down zone, what's the advantage to the applicant to do that?
What they're proposing requires, so the village commercial doesn't allow for detached
Oh.
dwelling, and the proposal is to create detached dwellings there.
Got it, thank you.
Do you have anything to say about this, Isaiah?
Nope. I think, yeah.
And Jeff didn't have much to say about it either in their comments. And so I would like to entertain a motion to approve the rezoning from village commercial to multifamily residential.
We do need to have public comment first.
Thank you for catching me. Public comment first. Yes, sir,
My
please.
name is Jesse Bornfront. I'm with CLD Group Management. So if there are any questions, I want to be here, able to answer those directly.
I just am curious. I don't know. I guess it fits under the multifamily. Is there a chance it's going to be an apartment building, or is it
No.
probably going to be a single residence or single family unit, so more than one?
There's a lot actually is 2 tax lots
Okay.
that were consolidated in single, single tax lot for the convenience. We purchased this property from a fire department. We want to subdivide it back into the two parcels it was originally, the 2 homes. The properties will be consistent with numerous
Yeah.
single-family residences.
Yeah.
next door.
So essentially, it takes away a commercial opportunity for somebody in the growth area, the urban growth area, or not the urban growth area, but that village community mercantile type of business in the town of Belfast. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, just see, looking at the picture, it looks like it's in kind of a neighborhood anyway, so,
It is.
yeah, so, I'm cool with it.
Doesn't sound like there's an awful lot of PAC deliberation then. Do you have anything else to add, Isaiah?
No, I would just say that, yeah, the commercial aspect of it would either have to go through the neighborhood, which is odd, and then also access from like the Highway 3 side is like there's a hillside right there, so it's not very accessible. I don't think it's very conducive to commercial anyway. And when you were talking about the multifamily, the village commercial actually does allow for multifamily units there as well. So it's not entirely changing the dynamic. It's just adding the possibility of single family.
That's good information.
Yeah, that is. All right, does anyone else have anything to add about that?
Nope.
All right, then I will redo, the chair entertains a motion to approve of this rezoning from village commercial to multifamily residential.
I so move.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All righty, all in favor of approving the rezone from village commercial to multifamily residential? Those in favor? Aye.
All right.
Those opposed? All righty. Now we are on to number 4 on the agenda, our work session.
If we left.
I'm gonna take it first.
What, you don't want to stay for my,
I was wrong.
my riveting?
I just simply don't want to get your
No,
way.
I'm kidding. Feel free to leave.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
But this isn't final approval, right? Just our recommendation to the,
I'll let you know when it's on the schedule for the board.
yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. So. Phil Rowan, Mason County Community Development. This is part of this is a continuation in a different format when we were talking about reducing the side yard setbacks or requiring surveys for that. And then our Board of County Commissioners, you know, they didn't want to require surveys. We looked at some options, but then the options became problematic legally, or they had more potential to become problematic legally if we were to, you know, require an affidavit in lieu of a survey with neighbors saying they were okay with the reduced setbacks. So then in discussions with our prosecuting attorney's office and our lead planning staff is to just reduce the setbacks in general. Just reduce them down to a minimum of 5 feet for your sides, 10 feet for the rear, and 10 feet for the front. Since we put this out for public notice and all that, I've already started thinking about it's problematic, and I think Jeff raised it in his questions, for the 10 feet in the front because of your driving.
Yeah.
So maybe to maintain, and this is a workshop, so we could kind of be thinking about this. So maybe rear, keep it 10 feet, but the front maybe 15 to 20. I think the city of Shelton, they wrote in comments and said 20 if we were to do that in the Shelton urban growth area. So, you know, rural areas is probably, you know, that's probably not a bad idea to, especially if it's for a driveway, you know, to a garage or even to your house, a garage attached to the house. So you can have some discussion about that. Be thinking about, you know, do we want to do that blanket? Right now, we require an administrative variance. We figure about half of the building applications that we get end up getting the administrative variance. That's why we thought, well, it's such a large number. Why don't we just reduce setbacks?
But yeah, is that like half of them apply and get it? Are there anyone?
About half of them need it, you know, and they apply and they get it.
But it's not like everybody applies and only half of them.
Yeah, they're rarely denied.
Okay.
I mean, it's because there's always, even if, like it used to be, if you had less than a quarter acre, you know, then you could apply for this admin variance. Sometimes we'll get lots and they're 5 acres total, but just the way where the house is getting positioned, maybe critical areas, the way the septic is designed, it almost forces them into needing these smaller setbacks. And so we thought, well, we'd hate to deny it just because you have 5 acres, but you've got a completely sloped hillside and you're septic's crammed over here and now you're forced to be 5 feet from the side yard, you know what I mean? So we thought we need to,
I just wanted to make sure.
yeah,
Half of them get it. What does that mean?
no, half of them apply and almost
Got it.
99%. The times that we do, deny them is, hey, you clearly have room you have a large lot, you clearly have room and it looks like I would joke, I don't know. You're trying to annoy your neighbor by putting a garage right there. So
you're saying if we increase that, to a minimum setback, and then they ask for a variance because they have a critical area or a wetland or something like that where they can't build, they could.
well, if we reduce the overall setbacks, there would no longer be an administrative variance process because we've reduced down to the minimum.
Okay.
But if they need any less than that, they have to go to development regulations variance, public hearing, their neighbors would get notified, the hearing examiner would really, look at of whether that's required or not. And especially for, our building department would, these meet the minimum for building as far as their like fire issues and things like that. So, yeah.
But if you do a blanket, then the half, wouldn't have to go through that process.
Correct.
But would that also automatically prove the people that would have been denied before, if that makes sense? Like you said, very rarely somebody's denied, but do the blanket thing.
They would be able to come back if they were denied because we said, no, you don't meet the criteria and they wanted to come back. I mean, it would,
But with the blanket thing, would they now achieve the criteria?
Let's make it
And
easier
not-
for
and
them
not
to
be
annoy their
denied.
neighbors.
Yeah, and so Jeff raised questions in there about that, obviously it makes sense in the platted areas, and that's what the administrative variance was intended for, is recognizing that, yep, now under growth management, we have these 5-acre minimums, but we have a lot of existing platted properties, mostly around all of our lakes and shorelines, and so smaller lots, and we want to, most of those lots wouldn't be able to meet the standard setbacks. So we created the administrative variance. It's just that over the years, it's become something that, because of the reasons I described earlier about critical areas, slopes, and septic systems, that sometimes, we're finding, and the administrative variance process is, it's cumbersome for permit tech staff and planning staff. And so we spend a lot of time trying to just process paperwork. So anyway, we're just trying to we're trying to resolve, I don't know that we'll.
You try to create more of a uniform, I mean, reading through there, it was like, it seems like we could consolidate, although I do see a difference between smaller lots versus acreage lots.
Right.
And to restrict somebody within their acreage, other than they're already gonna be restricted for critical wetland, slope, what have you.
Yeah.
It seems more critical in an urban area where you got a pretty defined lot.
Yeah.
And so, can you make a uniform setback for urban lots and another uniform one for acreage lots, or is that even more complicated? Or is it just easier to make the blanket, and then typically somebody with acreage isn't gonna go right up to the property line next to their neighbor, but
Right.
you never know, they might get as close to that property
Right.
line as they can
Yeah.
to increase their, so yeah, I don't know, it's food for thought, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing, right? We're
Yeah.
not making a decision, we're
Right.
thinking about it.
Mhm.
Seems like you're not having to do the individual applications for the half. That goes away. I guess that means that for everyone else applying for permits or whatever, would get a quicker turnaround.
No, it doesn't really add time to the administrative variance with your building permit application. They're turned in at the same time, reviewed by the planner at the same time.
Oh, it's kind of baked in.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just an extra form and they're just kind of making sure like, are they really meeting that criteria? And typically I mean,
No.
in like, you know, Cindy said it, people with acreage that are applying for it, for the most part, it's because there is a real reason. They don't want to be close to the property line, but that's why I think it's really rare when it seems like, well, why do you need to put it over here? You have all these unconstrained places to put it, but that's super rare. It's mostly because there's an actual reason. So it's like, do we need to have the extra form?
Kel, if you were to do the kind of like blanket variance, what would be the hurdle that a homeowner needs to go through? Like before, like you obviously have to put that whole application in. And so would it still be that? Like what, I just wonder if there's not like really any hurdle to jump through, does that just mean everybody who wasn't going to before now is like, well, it's really easy. We can just do that.
I mean, we would, if you were to change the code to allow a minimum of 5 feet for sides, 10 for rear, and some other amount for the front,
20.
then
Yeah.
then when they apply for their building permit, those are the minimum standards they'd have to meet.
They can just do, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And then it'd be up to the permitting department to look at that.
yeah, and then the
Yeah.
planning department, when they get the application and they're doing the site plan review, they're just confirming that they're meeting the minimum setbacks.
Mhm.
Rather than saying, oh, look, you're 7 feet from your side yard, the minimum's 20, so now you need an administrative, now you're filling out a form and paying us an extra fee and then we approve it. That's essentially what's happening.
Mhm. Okay.
And because of, as you know, Isaiah, or, you know, there's a lot of boundary disputes between neighbors, but that's not something it's a civil matter of where where your property line is. And a lot of times the administrative variance can be an issue of like neighbors wanting us to get involved in where the property line is. It's like, we don't provide surveys. We highly recommend people who own property get a survey.
Mhm.
But we're not, at this point in time, we're not going to require the survey, and it didn't sound like our commissioners were interested in making that a requirement.
I think that was kind of one of my, like where I was going. So no survey, and then you said no on the affidavit as well?
Yeah, the affidavit is what became problematic because we started thinking, it's like, well, how do we know the applicant isn't just signing an affidavit saying, yeah, my neighbor says this is fine. Now we have to go and search that, like, is the neighbor really okay with that? It has to be notarized. So technically you're getting a notary that someone is seeing that the person who says they are is who they are. But it just, and then when you have the front yard, if it's like, who is that? If it's not WashDOT or the county, it's a private road. Well, who has access to that road? Who's represented? It just became really problematic, and our attorney's office didn't like it at all. Our planning staff didn't like it at all, and so we scrapped that idea.
Okay.
It was a way of trying to come up with, well, we want you to have a survey, but if you refuse to get a survey, we could do this. I introduced it as a way to try to, I guess, with the commissioner's concern, like try to address the commissioner's concerns.
Mm-hmm.
But once we really thought it out, it's not a good legal strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it could become very problematic by then the county accepting an affidavit in lieu and then having a person saying, well, this property is actually owned in trust by an entire family, not just this one person who's now living there. you know, we do see, you know, those are issues that come up with, legal documents with property. And, you know, Joe may own the property, or live and own the property, but it's in a trust and there's multiple people that need to sign it, and yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And we could always just leave it as is. I mean, that is, you know, where we just continue to scrutinize and make sure that people are truly meeting certain criteria before they're allowed the administrative variance, such as being in a flat.
Does staff have a preference if you've already?
Yeah, they put it in
I-
here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
About 5, 10, but I think
think-
the front should be 20, that way for the parking.
Oh.
Yeah, I do think
Yeah.
when I said 10 for the front, I would like to
Yeah.
say at least the staff recommendation on that is if you go with the reduced setbacks to increase that
Yeah,
front yard
right.
to 15 or 20. So you can continue to think about it.
It is tricky trying to find a solution that works for our more urban areas and our more rural
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are two different
Yeah,
housing things, I would think, and two different desired outcomes for the property owner. But yeah, I guess it's important to have some sort of guideline or.
Are you under the weather?
am I?
Yeah,
Oh, because of this,
doesn't matter, none of my business.
you know, cultural.
I don't care, sorry.
So are we supposed to make a decision on this right now?
No, if you don't have it.
When will we be asked to make a decision?
I was gonna bring it back at the same time that you were gonna so we could do all the regs at the same time. August 30th.
Yeah, I just wanted to-
Yeah, it'll come back in August. So.
Yeah.
You can think about it.
Yeah.
All right, now,
I
on to
would
the
say
next.
that I think I would just say, like, when I am looking at properties with clients, I think one of the things that is a concern is, you know, if a space is limited, going, okay, well, especially when you're going to have to do a feasibility study and you have to get all these questions answered and whatnot. One of the big things that could deter somebody is not knowing if a variance will be permitted. Let's say you have one of those tricky situations. And so I would say, you know, if we do have this housing crisis that we want to make it very favorable for building and whatnot, that has been a deterrent for some clients to purchase a property. So I mean, if we want to have people build, I think that would be an advantage, so to speak, and just knowing, okay, these are the minimum setbacks. I can purchase this property. And they're obviously doing their research anyway, but just kind of knowing from the start.
But if it's a critical area, I guess I would be more in favor of protecting the critical area than trying to get more people moving in. I mean, somebody moving in and moving into a space where there's a critical area on their property and they want to get a variance to build there anyway, I just assume.
Well, obviously, we're not talking about extending this into a critical area. I'm talking about where you're on a flat piece of land that has no critical areas. It is a smaller, or we'll just say a funny shape or something like that, and you need to know. I'm not talking about critical areas because obviously we need to protect those.
All right, I understand what you're saying then, yeah.
Just food for thought.
Okay. I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
So definitions, that just goes with, I changed a couple of the definitions based on whether or not we go with this, so I'll skip that part. The next thing is the multifamily housing tax incentive program. It's in Title 17, Chapter 1790. when the legislature first introduced this program, Mason County did qualify, we did adopt it, and then it expired in 2019. So it's just been left in the books, but there's been new legislation. We no longer qualify. So I confirmed that. I saw in Jeff's notes, he's questioning that, but I say that in the staff report that we no longer qualify under state law. And I think I included
You did, you
the
included,
email.
yeah, you included the email.
So there's an email, yeah. that was-
Verifying that we're no longer.
Yeah.
Required to do that.
So that's just a cleanup.
Yep.
And yeah, so that should be
Okay,
pretty easy.
I don't have a
hope you guys
problem with
don't
that.
deny them. We just want to keep it in there for
no.
to confuse
Too many
people down
pages.
the road. Developers, yeah. And when we did have one application in 2019 and they applied for it, they paid the fees. And then when they did they penciled out the return on investment, did all the thing, it didn't work for them. So they didn't utilize the program.
Did anyone ever utilize it? Was that the only
No,
case?
not here in Mason County. I think it's been used elsewhere, but not here. Yeah. And I believe that's all I got. Okay.
Well, does anyone have any extra thoughts about what we've gone over today?
Mm-mm.
And we don't have to go through, does everyone want to go through for the continuation?
Yep, and then to Marissa's.
So
You may want, Ken may have, so there's the
Okay, there we go.
public comment.
Public comment. Alrighty, can we hear what Ken has to say?
Hello, folks. Yeah, are you going to go to the last part on the agenda about the periodic update?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for public comment on this portion.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I guess I'm for the next item on the. I thought you were getting ready to adjourn. Sorry.
Not quite.
Almost made a clean getaway.
Okay, so no public comment for the amendments to Title 17, Chapter 17.04. Does anyone have anything else to add about that?
No.
Alrighty, on to the next one, the continuation of the GMA periodic review update. Staff presentation.
Okay, as mentioned, this is a continuation of our periodic update. And this portion is concerning the development regulations. So the goal tonight is just to introduce the draft revisions and receive any feedback from you guys or the public that's here. We'll begin with some background on why the updates are necessary and review a supplemental housing capacity analysis for the Shelton urban growth area. And then walk through some required changes to development regs and discuss a proposed rezone request and finish with any questions or recommendations from y'all. Okay, so as part of the Growth Management Act, counties are required to periodically review both the comp plan and development regulations to ensure they remain consistent with state law. And we completed the comprehensive plan update in December of 2025. And then we also reviewed the best available science as it pertains to the resource ordinance update. And the next step is to make sure our development regs are accurately implementing the comp plan and comply with the latest legislative requirements. In addition to the state mandated updates, we've included revisions that improve clarity and resolve some inconsistencies in the current regulations, as well as incorporating the recommendations for the Allen sub-area plan. And if you remember, we worked on the Allen sub-area plan at the end of 2025 and at the beginning of this year. The PAC made a recommendation to the board on that, and that will be going forward to them with the resource ordinance and the development regulations after we get through all of those items. So after the comprehensive plan was adopted, staff completed another review of the zoning regulations, and we discovered one of the important housing tools that had not been fully reflected in the housing capacity analysis that was completed by SCJ Alliance. So that tool is the Planned Unit Development, or PUD. Although PUDs have been allowed within the Shelton urban growth areas in 2022, they weren't fully accounted for when estimating multifamily housing capacity. As a result, the Shelton UGA appeared to have higher density housing capacity than it actually does. So to address that, staff completed a supplemental analysis, specifically evaluating the additional capacity provided through existing PUD regulation. So the table on the slide is from the housing element of the comp plan, and as you can see, the Shelton UGA is the only UGA depicted without any low-rise multi-family zoning capacity. It does contain plenty of low and moderate density zoning to meet the 20-year housing population projections that were provided at the beginning of the comp plan and during the housing capacity analysis. And so you'll see there in the table, Shelton UGA highlighted. You'll see that the Allen UGA and the Belfair UGA do show low-rise multifamily housing capacity. And then you'll see the low density, which is going to be your neighborhood residential zoning in Shelton UGA has a housing capacity of over 4,000. And then moderate density, so that's going to be the mixed use, mostly the mixed use district in the Shelton UGA, and that's over 1,700 capacity. So to complete the analysis, the GIS department identified undeveloped and underutilized parcels within the Shelton urban growth area that were at least 1 acre in size, since that's the minimum size eligible for PUD consideration. Each parcel was then reviewed for critical areas and other development constraints. After removing constrained properties, we identified 64 undeveloped parcels and 12 underutilized parcels that could reasonably support future planned unit development. So this evaluation focused only on parcels large enough for PUDs and was intended to measure the additional housing capacity available under existing regulations. So these parcels do not include all the available neighborhood residential and mixed use parcels. They're only the ones that would be an acre or more. So using a range of reasonable development assumptions, staff estimated the number of housing units that could be accommodated through the PUD provisions. The Shelton PUD code itself requires 25% dedicated open space and a 15% additional non-impervious area. So when you're going to develop that acre, at least 25% of open space, 15% additional non-impervious area. And that's in addition to taking things into account like parking, driving aisles, fire access, stormwater ponds, any other hardscaping you'll need for sidewalk. So that takes up a lot of the parcels. So there's typically only 10 to 15% left for a building site. So even under conservative assumptions then, the existing neighborhood residential and mixed use zones provide capacity for several thousand additional multifamily units, such as apartments. These estimates demonstrate that the code already provides potential opportunities for high density housing. The issue wasn't a lack of capacity, but rather that this housing type allowance is not readily apparent in our current regulation. So thus the capacity wasn't fully reflected in our previous analysis. And that's SCJ's analysis. So, and then this slide just depicts conservative would be like your garden style apartments, 2-story apartments, mid-range, 3-story, and then a more aggressive 3 to 4 story, or sorry, 4 to 5 story apartment complex. So the primary conclusion from this work is that the existing Shelton urban growth area already contains sufficient land capacity to meet projected housing needs through the year 2045. That includes housing affordable to households earning between 0 and the 80% of area median income. Because this capacity already exists within the current zoning and existing community regulations, staff concluded that the expansion of the Shelton urban growth area is not necessary to meet projected housing demand. That doesn't mean that certain policy decisions regarding affordable housing will not have to be considered at some point by the Board of Commissioners and appropriate departments given direction to pursue programs or plans, things like that. This is literally just about having land capacity to meet the projected need. And we'll move on. So with that background, I'd like to summarize development regulation updates. So it's not particularly detailed. There's more detail in the staff report packet, as well as that GMA checklist that's attached to that packet. Most of the changes are required by the recent state updates in legislation. So there's updates regarding accessory dwelling units and the minimums that are required for us to adopt in urban growth areas, adding standards for co-living housing, incorporating emergency and supportive housing uses, revising some parking requirements, updating definitions to reflect current state law, clarifying effective dates for future growth boundary changes, and incorporating revisions associated with the Allen subarea plan update that was completed earlier. Many of the changes are intended to make those code easier to understand, while also ensuring consistency with the Growth Management Act. And in addition to those required changes, staff reviewed the Shelton Urban Growth Area Code for organization and clarity. We've updated the formatting where possible, consolidated lengthy text into tables, and corrected outdated code references, and made the planned unit development option much more visible within the residential zoning district. These changes don't substantially alter the policy, but make regulations easier for us and the public. The Allen Urban Growth Area received a more comprehensive update based on recommendations provided during the area plan process. One significant change is eliminating the overlay districts and incorporating those standards directly into the underlying zone. Staff also incorporated consultant recommendations and additional housekeeping revisions to improve consistency throughout. Another item, we had one somewhat of a rezone request. So at the beginning of the comp plan process, we had a owner of actually these 3 parcels that you see on the screen there. Those are all currently rural tourist campground. I believe it was the owner that called and said they were interested in only developing single family residential on this one particular parcel all the way to west. At that time, since it was that would be a down zone, it would be a less intense use. They got approval to build a single family residence on that lot with the caveat that we bring a rezone during the comp plan update during our development reg, and then rezone to rural residential 5, which is the corresponding zone adjacent to the parcel. So like I said, they were already allowed to build on the site.
This girl is trying to look for a source for like apple wood to put in her smoke stuff, and she's just wondering where to look for it.
Oh, I can
You mute.
Oh, there we go. There. Yep. So the request aligns with the zoning surrounding it. We evaluated it against the criteria. It meets staff found that it met the criteria and the growth goals of the Growth Management Act. And because it's actually a down zone, it reduces development intensity in that location, and decreases the need for any kind of urban services in that area as well. So based on our analysis, and the fact that it already has single family residents there, and for the sake of making sure our mapping is updated correctly, reflects what the actual zoning is, we are recommending that this reflect our rural residential 5 zoning there.
And it's surrounded by rural residential 5 and rural.
So rural residential 20 is up the north there,
Yeah.
and then 5 and 5 all around here.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Do we have to make a motion or do we just tell you that?
So this is only a work session,
Okay.
so we'll come back in a public
All right.
hearing and we'll have a motion then. So in conclusion, we did get a lot of comment, we got several comments that came in kind of late, so staff hasn't been able to review all those.
Right.
I have comments from Jeff that I'll address as well, and follow up with the answers or my responses for you guys all to see as well. We got some from the city pretty late. We'll also be meeting with the city too to see if they have any other comments on the Shelton UGA code. The Skokomish tribe. Their comment was more about the resource ordinance, so
Right.
it seemed pretty positive.
Mhm.
And did we have any other?
Yeah, he's on, I think he's on the.
Oh, and yes, Ken too, which he'll have, he'll, when we comment here. So I am drafting a SEPA checklist for the development regs, the Allen plan, our resource ordinance. So once we get that drafted, that'll go out for review for the state agencies comment. So we may have additional comments there. And let's see, anything else? So next meeting, August 31st on the same topic. And tonight we're just taking comments, and if you have any feedback or questions, so I will turn it over to you guys.
There was a lot to read there. It's like 200 pages. So I don't know that I think, I don't know if I have a lot of, I mean, I think the comments are interesting. I'd like to hear Ken.
Yeah.
And they were interesting from Jeff as well. But anyway, there's a lot of information to ponder there. So I think the public comment's going to be helpful to kind of parse it out.
Well, want to move on to public comment first before talking a little bit more about it then?
Sure.
All right. Ken, are you there?
Yes, would it be my turn to talk?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Basically, my big thing in that 200-page document or whatever it is was page 169, and it's about the purpose statement and intent of the Belfair UGA, and that what I've discovered is that short 2 paragraphs or whatever it is, I sent you a bunch of notes, but it's basically very outdated, and I would just hope that in your update that you're able to reference that and reference most of those materials I sent you. There was a lot of things that happened back when we did the original UGA plan that they didn't even recognize. There was a critical aquifer recharge area, and I had to fight to get it even mentioned. So like I said in my comments there, I think we need to focus development in the Belfair UGA up on the planned action EIS area up on the plateau. So yeah, I just like to see that that 1 paragraph changed a bit. Thank you, folks, for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You did get all my materials.
Yes,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
And it was page 169 that
Yep.
you wanted us to focus.
Yep. Staff, do you have anything to say about what he was talking about at this moment?
Not completely, no, I haven't been able to review his comments
Okay.
completely, so.
Sounds like we all have more reading to do.
Oh, it's thrilling reading.
Which I figured would happen with this work session, because there's 3 UGAs, all the definitions. You know, the rezone, so a lot of information. And then all the comments.
And those comments just came in today, really, to
Isaiah, do you have any thoughts or anything you want to add?
Nothing at this moment.
I'd also just check that Cameron doesn't have any comments since she's on.
Tamara, do you have anything that you'd like to say?
Sorry, I had to get the mouse to move over. Not at this time. Thank you very much. I'm just sitting in for Colleen. She's out of state, but I do appreciate being mindful of how we can incorporate housing diversity in the different areas, especially the economic diversity of housing, and then being mindful of the different types of levels that allow people to be able to move up through the different housing support systems, from shelter to transitional to permanent to independent. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very true. Well, I don't think there's any other public comment onto PAC discussion. I personally do not have very much to say right now. I have a lot more reading to do. I know that much. What do you think?
I got nothing. I'm gonna take more time to go through everything.
Yeah.
Let's set it up. Flat charted.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my only excuse.
There's a couple things that I saw, but Jeff also brought them up, so I'll just wait until there's a
Yeah.
response to that.
And I think the public comments are important because, I mean, they're all about like Belfair and Allen, and, you know, I don't have a lot of experience with city life. You know, I'm out, you know.
Me too.
So I gotta think about, okay, you know, I know, anyway, there's a lot to ponder and to read comments about all that.
Mhm.
I have a question, maybe I should know this by now, but inside to say the Shell UJ, how much control does the county have over the rules that operate inside it, and how much does the city? Or is it a blend?
It's, so the regulations we have complete control over. We do, you know, if we get projects, especially the commercial projects where we have pre-application conferences, we always include the city. Where the city has direct control is over their utilities. So like if they're gonna extend sewer or water, then they, you know, then those are their utilities. But the development regulations are ours, and our people implement them. Marissa and I are, you know, they've had some staff turnover, so we were hoping that we could have had more at this point in time, but more integration with them. But right now we're just following through on the comp plan stuff, and then what meeting the state needs. We imagine like starting to work with the city, and maybe, you know, not state mandated, but just looking at areas where we could become a little more aligned with city code so that as they annex things in over the years, they're getting development that is developed per their standards. But it is our
Okay.
jurisdiction.
Which, yeah, sounds like we're in control, but obviously you're gonna
Yeah, we
talk to
want
them,
yeah,
but it sounds like they're kind of in transition
Yeah.
period or something right now.
and we're,
Okay.
you know, and as planners, we're happy we have one jurisdiction to work with as opposed to like a Pierce or King County where they have all the different jurisdictions they
Yeah.
have to negotiate with in their urban growth areas. And so for Allen and Belfair, of course, there is no city seat or city
Right.
incorporation. And so that's all on us.
Yeah, I never see anything in there about Hoodsport.
Well, Hoodsport and Union and Taylortown, they're all considered rural activity centers.
Okay.
So they're still in the rural area. They're like it starts with cities, urban growth areas, rural activity centers, and then we have hamlets.
The other thing I noticed in just kind of going through that document, that table that had the pink shaded and the date that needed to be completed, you know, the upgrade, and was it, no, when should it be? 2025, you know, that table I'm talking about. And some of them, if we haven't done anything, is there a penalty for that, or are we behind the vols there?
So that checklist goes through revisions constantly.
Okay,
And so when our consultant originally filled it out, it was a different version.
okay,
And so what I did for the development regulations was use the most current, just to make sure, we might as well update anything that's due sooner than later. But there were some requirements on there that aren't due till next periodic cycle. And some of those we may actually update before the next periodic cycle. We've talked about it, but we're keeping them separated.
so that those weren't on that table that you sent out, or they are?
They are on that
Coded
checklist.
differently for us.
Yes.
So the ones we should really focus on are the ones that are pink, shaded pink.
No, okay, no, not this. So
Okay, yeah. Because there's a lot there, so if there's
Yeah.
something we should focus on prior, you know.
So maybe I will send out a little
Yeah,
explanation of the
Yeah.
checklist and what you should look for.
That would be helpful.
I will do that.
yeah, because then we could zero in, because like as you know, it's a big document. So if there's some things that are coming up that we're gonna need to make decisions on, then we could focus on those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a lot on there that are old legislation that have already been incorporated in different cycles, and you don't even have to worry about.
Okay.
But we have to answer that, yes, it's already in our plan. This is where it is. So, but I will send out the how to on how to decipher what's going on in the checklist.
Okay, that'd be helpful.
Hard to know what to focus on.
Yeah,
on that big.
All right.
Anyone have anything else to add? You, Isaiah?
Nope, all good.
All right, I am thinking of entertaining a motion to adjourn this meeting until the 31st.
How long we adjourned? Until August 31.
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Look, we're done a minute before we were supposed